Welcome, everybody. I'm the journalist Sin-seer. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have Nasty-Nes in the building. Thank you so much for joining this evening.
Yeah, what's up, man? Clarence. Is that what you go by, Clarence?
Yeah, or Sin-seer, whichever you prefer.
Uh, sincere sounds more hip hop ish, but Clarence sounds like you're the man. Clarence is
Okay. All
the
right. I like how you flip
man.
it.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
No doubt. Thank you for the opportunity. We're going to take it back and then all the way up to 2023 with what you have going on. But before we do that, can you take us back to where you were born and raised?
I was born on Okinawa, Japan, on the military base. I'm originally from the Philippines. My mom got a job uh, on the military base in Okinawa as a nurse. So as we lived there, she got pregnant and ended up being born in Japan, Okinawa, Japan. It wasn't Japan back then; it was just Okinawa. But it used to be embarrassing. I was born in Okinawa, and like no one knows what Okinawa is, but I think people know what Have you ever heard of Okinawa?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So now I don't mind telling people I was born in Okinawa.
Right.
Because of people like you, because you know what Okinawa is. But
Right.
I am Filipino though.
Okay. Take us back to a day in the life, say teenage years. Where were you at this time during your teenage years?
At this time, at let's see, my time is 6:45 on
No,
December. Well,
nah.
what we talking about?
Back in the day, teenage years. Where were you at? Were you still in Okinawa?
Oh no, I we moved to the states. My mom got a job in the states in Seattle, Washington, at Providence Hospital, and that happened in 1970. So now you'll know how old I really am. I was 10 years old when we moved to the states in 1970, and so what was I doing in my teenage years? You know what? I tell you this much: when I first moved to the states. Have you ever heard the term "fresh off the boat"? Well, I
Yeah.
was that guy. I was that guy because I came to the states overweight, these thick black wire, these big thick black glasses with a Hawaiian shirt, and then I had this broke what is it Vitalis hair oil in my hair, and I thought I was like, I was the man, wearing this Hawaiian shirt. But no one in Seattle wore Hawaiian shirts. And so I was kind of like kind of a nerdy kind of guy. I always got picked on, always the butt of all fat jokes. Um, but I think when as I got older and I got into martial arts at the original Bruce Lee school, um, I think what really reminds me of me growing up was the movie Saturday Night Fever.
Mm,
You remember that one with John Travolta?
absolutely. Olivia Newton-John, right?
No, man, that was Grease.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Wrong
yeah, yeah.
movie.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, Saturday Night Fever. Except, um, we all my homies, we all went to clubs and dance and stuff. But instead of me dancing, I would stand by the DJ booth and just watch the DJ and watch him how he mixed records and what he played, studied the crowd. I was more into that than trying to pick up women on the dance floor. All my friends would dance while I was the only guy there, looking cool but standing next to the DJ, just staring at him.
Right. What were some of your hobbies and interests around this time?
Oh, I love martial arts. I was a big, and still am a big, huge Bruce Lee fan. Boxing, collecting comic books, and I love music. Since I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, listening to my sister's records, and I had a small transistor radio. I just love listening to the radio and music. So when people meet me, they think, "Oh, he only likes rap music." But man, I love all kinds of music. I love the '60s, the '70s, the '80s, the '90s. Uh, Not so much the new stuff out now, but I just love old school. Stylistics, from the stylistics to let's say the Osmond Brothers and the Beatles. I love all that kind of stuff. I can listen to a Carpenter song and I'll start crying. That's how deep I am.
Awesome. Talk a little bit about schooling. Did you have any interest in school at the time?
No, I can't lie. I did not enjoy going to school, and that's why my before my mom passed away, she was always worried about me, like what's going to happen to me when I get older. I mean, because I didn't really like going to school, and she was, let's see, I was 17 years old, and she was suffering from cancer, and she just was really worried what's going to happen to me. So as far as schooling goes, I think one of the only reasons why I actually graduated from high school was because my last wish that my mom had was to see her son graduate. You know, walk up to the stage, the cap and gown, and then get that high school diploma. So I did that, and made her happy. But I think what saved my life was actually going to a community college, and I took a radio class at W Community College, and that was probably the only subject in school that I ever got straight A's in was in communication, and I just had a talent for getting on behind the mic and later behind the turntables, and yeah, man. And the rest is kind of history, If you see behind my back, I got all these plaques and stuff, and yeah, who would ever think this guy from Okinawa could accomplish that?
Right. Mix-a-Lot was also in the same high school. Is that correct?
Yeah, he sure was. He was actually 2 years below me, um, and we never interacted. Yeah, I remember him saying, he used to always see me in the hallways, and one day he saw me with the switchblade in my hand, and he just said, "Man, I don't want to mess with that guy," So we never talked or interacted, and I don't even remember him from Roosevelt, but he remembers me really well. But we didn't touch base till many years after that.
Right. So after high school, where did you find yourself? You were involved in radio. So after graduation, what was next for Nasty-Nes?
Um, hooking up with Mix-a-Lot and a guy by the name of Ed Locke, uh, who actually was played a big influence in me getting into radio as an on-air personality, as an announcer. Um, we all kind of teamed up together, and uh, Ed Locke, a fellow Asian Chinese guy, and I uh, met Sir Mix-a-Lot, and we wanted to hear what this guy really sounded like, because if you really think about it, this is the early '80s, and when you think of hip hop music and rap, you would only think of that coming from the East Coast, notably New York, the Bronx, but never Seattle. But there was this one guy, another group, Emerald Street Boys, but there was really this one guy who really personified hip hop and got behind the mic, wrote his own raps, did his own music, um, and that was Mix-a-Lot. And he DJ gigs, and we decided to go check him out one night, and the rest is history. When I saw him, I just like, man, this guy is so dope, and I put my ego aside and kind of got together, and next thing I know, we started the record label Nasty Mix, named after me and Mix-a-Lot. And a few years later, one of the first groups on the West Coast to go gold and platinum, and that's something that I'll always treasure.
Right. Now, at this time, were you already on the radio? You were part of one of the first West Coast mix shows, right?
Yeah, I started the first all rap radio show, and that was in 1980, and I was in Seattle on 1250 K Fox. And at that time, I didn't know who Sir Mix-a-Lot was, but I did. I was a DJ for another rap group in Seattle called the Emerald Street Boys, but that was the extent of that. And then I think it was in 1983 is when I hooked up with Mix-a-Lot. He called me on the request lines, and then I got to see him, do his thing every weekend. He would DJ at the Boys Club. So I would go there. We went there, Ed Locke and I, and saw him there. And Yeah, that's what happened. That's how it all started.
Right. With your first rap group, did anything materialize? Any albums come out?
With the first rap group, the Emerald Street Boys, no, because we didn't really think about putting a record out or anything like that at the time. We were so young, we didn't know what to do, you know. But they never, they did put out a couple records on vinyl. But there was this one artist that, aside from Mixlot, that I was a part of with my partner Brett Carlson, that we put vinyl out, and we actually got a deal with Profile Records. You know, Profile is well known for Run DMC and a bunch of other artists, and we got a record deal with them. The record didn't really take off, but it was the first time someone from the city of Portland, Oregon, was on the map, and his name was DJ Vitamix, and it made a little bit of noise, but Mixlot really was the one who really took off before anyone else.